Okay, so I'm gonna try to keep this as simple in length as I can, but I just finished watching Spartacus on Netflix, and it was a really good series. Like, I loved it. I forgot to rate it, but I loved it so much that I couldn't possibly forget to go back and make sure that I did that thumbs up. I don't know if it's for my benefit that Netflix does it or for theirs, but regardless, I believe that it was good, so I'm gonna give it a double thumbs up. I love. I love this. That's what it says on Netflix. Tell me about your streaming platforms. What do they say when you rate them? Okay, so Spartacus, he was born in Thrace, which I forget. I looked some stuff up afterwards, but I forget, or a little bit Doreen, even though I was scared because I didn't want to like uncover the truth of everything just off another question that I had, but I think I said it's modern day Hungary. So that's interesting to know. But he lived there in his little village, and he had a wife that he really really loved so much, and whatever. They're close to Rome or something around those Roman times, and the soldiers from Rome come because they're fighting a different battle, but they stop in that village and they're like, "We need you to help us," and they didn't want to help him, but Spartacus was amongst that group and he stepped up. He didn't like say that they would for everybody. He just stepped up and made a point that then turned into, a little small conversation that got to the main point, and then I guess everyone around them just felt more inspired after just being presented like separate points and to be understood, and then they all were like, okay, we'll fight with Rome, just for this one battle. So they go to the battle to fight, and the people end up running, like they flee. I forget what their name was, but they flee, and some of the Thracians, that's what they call the people from Thrace, were keeping a lookout, you know, um, for the Roman orders, but they noticed that they were fleeing in a certain direction, and that certain direction was their home, their village, where all their women and children have been left unattended because all the men are in this temporary little battle they're doing before they get back home. So the Roman general guy, his name is Gaius Claudius Glaber, and he's married to I believe like a senator or a praetor's wife or retired praetor, which is like, I don't know, like it's not a senator, it's like better, but you get the gist. But that's kind of how he got into that role, but that has nothing to do with anything. But it was just also like storyline sometimes and whatnot. You kind of got the understanding what was going on, even though that part had nothing to do with anything in the whole show. But so he's in there, and his wife comes to the encampment, even though she's not supposed to because she misses him so much. And then, he's also trying to prove to the Senate and to her father, that he's capable and he can do it and he deserves, the title that he wants. So he's after title. So the Thracians come to him and they're like, hey, we're done here, but we're actually all about to head back to our village to protect them because that's where they're heading. And Glauber was like, no, you're not, because his mind, after his wife came in also, was a little bit more title based. So he's like, it would be more of a victory if I had this direction and fight these people instead. And then, so basically, Spartacus and all of his Thracian people, he was like, he was like, no, like, we're not going to do it. That's like the wrong decision to make, which is like, the decisions are kind of like the underlying basis during this whole thing, which is kind of cool too. I really like the idea because I really believe in it. Choices, decisions, whatnot, whatever. So basically, they get in like a little knife fight. Some people die. They think that Glauber's dead, but they didn't say he was playing dead, but that's what you could assume, which is a smart move, personally. But whatever, they left to go protect their people. They did, and then he grabs his wife Spartacus and he's like, we have to go with the move, because they're gonna come looking for us. We need to get out of here. So they built a little tent a little bit of ways, and you know they had one last night together before the Romans found them, and then they separated them, and then they ended up taking. That's how they took Spartacus to Rome. You know, he said, "I'm taking you because you know you fled from your oath, like your agreement, like." You know, you didn't obey order. You know, that's a direct offense. So that's how he reacted. So Spartacus gets to Rome, and then, so okay, so there's some praetors talking, you know, the gladiators fighting, killing each other for everyone's entertainment, which is just so intense, you know, just to think that, you know, that was so entertaining, you know. It might be, but it's just wild because you just never see that legally nowadays. But they're all watching him or whatever, and there's some tensions going on between two praetors, this guy and his wife, you know, how he feels he's being treated, whatnot. But he sees, okay, they bring Spartacus and other slaves that they captured, not really slaves because they haven't enslaved them yet, they just brought them there for execution in the gladiator arena, and they were gonna kill Spartacus there, but he stood up. Oh, basically this is how they were gonna do it, not execute, but they were gonna put him in the ring with like actual gladiators, and then they were all gonna kill him, and then Glauber's like sending four, but basically he fought, and then he killed four gladiators. Like, so one guy against four guys, like something overcame him, and he beat them and he killed him. And then since the people, like the little praetors, were having a little problem in their little pulvinus, which is like a little balcony place for, you know, special people, and then this guy Batiatus, he steps in, you know, because his whole life, like, he's been like mistreated, you know, not let into the places he wants to get in, you know. He's like, I'm more of a lanista, which is a gladiator trainer. He's like, I want to be in the Senate, I want to be in that. So he saw two praetors having a problem, and he saw an opportunity, and he took it. He was like, well, because they were like, the crowd was like, let him live, Spartacus. And then Glauber was like, no, you must kill him. And then the guy Batiatus, he stepped in and said, hey, you know, trying to mediate for benefit. He's like, I'll buy the guy. And then, you know, it's like win-win situation, you know. So he stepped in, he did that. He ends up training this guy, you know, Spartacus. You know, he's reluctant at first, but then, you know, he remembers his wife telling him that she has like, that he has like a great destiny, you know. So he's like, maybe this is what I am. Maybe I should, you know, go with it, you know, if this is gonna be my destiny. So he kind of falls into place, and you know, gets tamed, I guess, or whatever. These Romans are really freaky, they're sexually, by the way, you know. Like, he that call me dominant. It's just weird, you know. He really got tamed, you know. So anyways, but he was getting tamed, and he was working with Batiatus on the side. Batiatus was like, if you do good, you know, I'll find your wife, you know. Do you know where she, he's like, do you know where she is? Like, I'll find her, and you know, and then we'll get there, you know. And then eventually he did so well that he's like, I got your wife, I found her, she's on the way. And then she gets there, and then the wagon guy who's driving the wagon, he's like, has blood on him, and then he goes to the back, and his wife's there, she's all bloody, but luckily she was still alive. So they were, at least she looked into his eyes like, I can't believe, you know, I'm here with you finally, I'm seeing you again after all this time. And then she died, and he was really sad. But then later he found out that Batiatus actually, because the guy driving was like, we just got attacked, I don't know. And then he found out later, you know, because Batiatus was keeping this guy around for other business, and then they both ended up in the same place, like the same room together. And then that's how he found out, you know. And then that his wife was killed on purpose so that he would no longer have any hopes and dreams of escaping. Like, he would give up his whole life and just be and dedicate himself to, you know, making money for those people, Batiatus and his wife in the arena. There were some other little stories going on with the wife and a little slave, whatever, you know. I mean, not slave, but gladiator who's a slave, which is crazy, you know, like, because I guess at this time in Rome, there really was like free people and then like slaves, and then if you were a slave, it's like it was impossible to never be a slave again. Anyway, so the story goes on. I'm probably not gonna talk about the wife and that shit that much, but whatever. And then, you know, the whole thing, when he finds out that Batiatus killed him, like, he starts planning his revenge, you know, never like telling through body language or words that he knew, you know. And then towards the end, there was like little scenes where Batiatus would be like, That was weird, you know, why did he do that, you know? Like, you know, like, what did you mean by that? But then finally, yeah, there was a day when, okay, they were trying to get some patronage from, you know, Glauber, and then they had dirt on Glauber's wife, Alithia, who had been hanging out with Batiatus's wife. Okay, and she was really bad and evil. Like, she would do fucked up shit, like, all the time. Especially, and she would do it all the time to her. You know, she was a really bad friend. Like, bad shit happened. And then, yeah, like she was fucked up, you know? And I felt like she kind of fucked Batiatus up. Like I feel like when he was one of those really good, ambitious people, but with the wrong person by his side, you know, like it could be used against him, you know? But he probably was destined for great things. But I'm not sure, you know, because you make your own decisions. But anyway, he finds out, and then he gets all the slaves together, and he tells some of them the truth about something, and it gets them more enraged. Then they're all convinced. You know, maybe not everyone, maybe like one person that was really important. They all get together and then they slaughter Glauber, there's a whole bunch of fancy people there, you know, nobles, and they killed them all. And then the girl Alithia, like Batiatus' wife, they called her Lucretia, like that was her name, and she had been mean to her, and she's like Alithia, because her husband's soldiers were guarding that place at that time during that event. She's like, go get the guards. And instead of getting the guards, Alithia left, and then she locked them all in with her guards, and then she told them not to defy orders because she's Glauber's wife. They locked the doors, they left, and then everyone got killed in there. They killed everybody. One guy didn't get killed, who was like a little sneaky snake, you know. They go throughout the whole thing, you know, showing little flashbacks, people's lives, their storyline, whatever, you know, only the important main ones and whatnot. But he survived, because he's a little sneaky cockroach, you know, type guy. He'll survive. He does shitty stuff, and he'll always survive. So he survived, and then they came back to the house. Alithia and Glauber, they came back to the house. Okay, because this Spartacus thing is on him. He's trying to get in the Senate, and they're trying to make him look like a fool because, you know, look at everything that's happened because of this Thracian that you brought here, you know, so you need to go handle it. You need to go kill him in order to prove your worth, you know. We have this problem. We have gladiators running around our town killing everybody, like, and you brought him to Thrace, you know. It's like this little man battle too, you know. And then Spartacus wants to kill Glauber because he's the reason him and his wife were separated and she's dead. Okay, like he killed Batiatus because he lied, and did fucked up shit. He wanted to kill Glauber. I thought you thought it was gonna be done after that. So okay, a lot of the theme throughout all of this is like choices, you know, like, okay, like someone does something bad and then eventually something bad happens to them, you know, which is kind of cool to see in plays too, you know. So yeah, there's a lot of other main characters, but let's just focus on the story so I can try and keep it as short as possible. It was 4 seasons, okay? But alright, so whatever, he's running rampant. Glauber tries to go kill him. You know, he's amassed some soldiers by, you know, hitting villas and killing the dominus that owns the estate and the slaves, freeing them, build his army. They meet Glauber. They ended up beating Glauber and he killed him. And then Batiatus' wife didn't die. She survived, and that sneaky snake cockroach guy, he found her and he tended to her wounds and all that stuff. So she was alive. So when they got to the house, she was in there and she's like, oh my god. Alithia was like, kill her, you know, because she knows secrets and stuff like that. And she's a fucked up friend, you know. But they were like, no, we're gonna use her as a hope to the people because the city was running like crazy because of everything that has happened, you know, with the gladiators killing everybody and everyone's scared. So they're like, it'll be a sign to the people. And it kind of was, you know, people were like, oh my god, she's alive, like this is a message from the gods. They had a lot of gods back then, you know, even different ones and more that are the same, different ones than we have now, you know, probably a little bit. But anyway, so he kills them. Okay, his wife is pregnant at the time. So okay, when Batiatus and his whole house got killed during that event, his wife was finally pregnant, like, and she could never bear children. And then one of the slaves that she was like, you know, basically took advantage of, you know, when he didn't know any better, that's the kind of character he was. Like, when they were in the house killing people, he stabbed her in the stomach. But that's why she survived, because it wasn't that bad, you know? But when she finally met back up with the Lithium, when they noticed she was in the house, like, Alethea was pregnant at this time, okay? And then I guess, okay, she's with her the whole time. She's like, I know I've been a bad friend to you. I just want to help you. But honestly, letting that lady back in was a mistake. You know, I wouldn't have done that. Like, whatever, you know. But bad choices, you know, bad shit happens, you know. Like, but then basically, so Glauber dies, and then Alethea's going back to their house, okay, that she was still in when they came to, like, live in it while they try to kill Spartacus. And then Alethea starts, like, Alethea was supposed to kill her, okay, and then, but she didn't get the chance because she started bleeding and she was about to have her baby. And then Batianta's wife Lucretia comes in, and then she kills her slaves, okay, and then she cuts the baby out of her, and she takes the baby to the edge of the cliff. And then Alethea's like dragging herself out of there, and she's like, Lucretia, like please. And then Lucretia just fucking falls off the cliff with the baby. I couldn't believe it. I really didn't want that baby to die. I was like, no way. And that was her plan the whole time. But that's why you don't let a snake back in, you know, because she just played a whole different way. And then look what she still did, you know. Like, you can't do that. But that's what happened. And then Alethea died too, because she was probably bleeding a lot from getting that baby cut out and whatnot. So then you move on, and then, so now they're just, Spartacus and his people are just running across Rome, you know, killing all villas and freeing all enslaved people and all that stuff. And then it gets to the point where, you know, Rome is so terrified that their Senate goes to the richest man at that time. I gotta look up what the numbers mean, but maybe ever, who knows. But his name was Marcus Crassus, which, even if you don't know, I'm sure that you still know who that is. So they got him. They're like, hey, we need you, you know, we need your resources, you know, we need you to go get this off our ass and off our necks. And then, you know, he's up to the challenge because that's the kind of guy he is, and he also wants to, you know, get into the Senate. I think he is in the Senate. I don't know, whatever. It's just a good look, you know. Spartacus killed, you know, no one can kill him. He's been running rampant and killing everybody, and no one can get him, and so many people have died. So it was also an accomplishment for him. All right, so he gets on a mission. You know, every soldier that he has, in their legions, which is so scary, but that's cool. And it's called that, you know, big ass army that the Romans had. They called them legions. But he paid for all of it, so all their weaponry, all the food, all the swords, everything. But this man was really rich. But they're going after him, you know, and then he's gonna get him, you know. But Spartacus is smart too, but he's gonna get him. But then something happens, like with this like slave that he had, but that was only for him, you know. Something happened, okay. You know, he doesn't know it was his son who did it, okay? So the girl leaves because she feels like, you know, like she can't tell him, you know? And then, you know, he says something to her to make her feel like she would never believe or never care about what happened, you know, and be able to help, you know, which is kind of retarded in its end, because, like, you never said what you were feeling, you know. Fuck everything that somebody's saying. Like, you don't know if what you're gonna say is gonna make them be like, wait, except that, you know, not that that's what you're looking for, but yeah, she's decisions, you know, whatever. So she runs away, and then, you know, Marcus starts having like a hard time, like, with like grounded internal stability, you know. And so his son's trying to push him to do some shit. This other guy's trying to make him do probably the right thing, you know. But he's so like doesn't know truth from wrong, and people are trying to control him, you know, because, you know, I think it's just because he didn't understand when that girl left, you know. And then finally, okay, whatever, his son, it gets sent, okay, to what he thinks is Pompey's little setup or whatever, you know, because he's like, it would be too disrespectful of someone in my position to go to see you, you know. But the other guy that's working with him, Julius Caesar, he's like, send your son, because he doesn't like his son, because his son is like fucked up to him Like, okay, so he was basically like, fuck you. Like, these people came and were like, come see Pompeii. And apparently the guy knew that they were clearly Spartacus's recruits just to try to lure him in to kill him. But he sent the boy out because he wanted something bad to happen. So the boy goes to the place, okay, whatever. And they're going to kill him, like, in a gladiator arena. Like, this is what it feels like. That's what it was about, you know? Like, how does it feel, you know? Like, that's how you were treating us this whole time. They're about to kill him, but then Julius Caesar comes back and he's like, because Marcus Crassus wants his son back, okay? And so he gets his son back, and the slave girl that left, like, she was in that slave camp, joined the rebellion, but he was gonna get killed in the arena, and then right when it happened, Spartacus comes in, okay, and he's like, Marcus Crassus has decided that if we spare his son's life, like, he'll give us 500 of our people back, okay? So that was really big to them. So they made the decision, okay, we'll give this one guy back, but then gain 500 of ours. Okay? So that was a good deal. But then right when he's about to leave, the slave girl runs out and stabs him and kills him, the son of her lover, because she was wanting him to get killed in the arena, but he didn't. So she just did it herself, whatever. So he died, whatever. But he was really bad, okay? Like, he was a little piece of shit asshole. Like, you know, you go through shit in life, and then you make decisions, you know. But he went through something, and then he just became straight evil and terrible. So he died, and the guy goes back, he tells him he died, but Marcus knows that's not the reason why he died. Like, somebody's lying. Then he finally gets the truth out. Oh, she's like, take me instead, because we can still hold up the deal. So he took her back, and Marcus was happy to see her, but he told her she has to call him Dominus from now on, like a slave, but he never did that to her before, whatever. But he knows, so he gets the truth out that it was actually her who stabbed his son. And, you know, and then he remembered, you know, the things that he had said that made her feel like maybe she couldn't tell him. But like I said, like, you don't just do some crazy shit like that to somebody's son. Like, you gotta tell him, like, what the fuck is wrong with you? You know, like, you're evil too. But he finds out, whatever. Then the last battle happens, and that was like the last one before they were all able to go free, the whole group that they had. But at the very end, you know, I was like, dang, like, Sparta's gonna win. And I'm gonna be on it the whole fucking time. Well, the beginning was fine because the actor for Spartacus was hot, okay? Like, and hotter. He was an attractive man. And then apparently I googled it. I was like, why is there a different actor for Spartacus in the beginning of the, I think, third season? And they were like, because, or maybe even the beginning of the third, they were like, because, you know, the main actor, he had got sick, and, you know, he passed away. And that sucks. I'm not gonna lie, it did change the tune of the whole series for me, because I just didn't really like looking at him as much. I don't know. If they would have used him from the beginning, it might have been fine, you know. But I still don't know if I would have been able to take him serious as good as the whole time. Like, the original Spartacus was way better for the part, okay? Like, look and way and just everything and how he was. Even though they were basically playing the same person, I just feel like he played it better. But oh crap, where are they going with this? So the last battle, but at the last time, he's winning, you know. Marcus is going through all this mental stuff, you know, because he didn't have his stability, you know. And then, you know, I wanted Spartacus to die the whole time, like probably mostly after the second season or third season. But I was just like, dude, this is so because I didn't want Glauber to die. I was like, genuinely, like, no, like, when he did get killed, and Alithia, like, I mean, I wouldn't have wanted her to see that happen to her baby, you know, but it kind of sucked for her because the whole time, you know, she was just getting like she would believe her and then she would get hurt, you know what I mean? But whatever, so they get to the end, but then, you know, like, the end of the last episode, like, Spartacus is alone in his little tent, you know, and he's looking at maps, and he pulls out a map of Thrace. So this whole thing is like, you know, truth, honesty, you know, true beliefs. But when you see that map of faith, you realize that he's been taking all of these people, okay, and making them, not making them, but they're fighting, they're dying, they're in danger, like, all this crap, and he's making announcements as if it's for them, you know, to take back glory from Rome, you know, and see them fall for everything they've done for us. That was the rebellion. That was his motivation, and then it shows you right at the end that basically his whole motivation was just to get back to Thrace. Like, he used all these people, okay, and was lying to them the whole time because he just wanted to get back to his country. Like, but I mean, and then at the same time in the episode, Spartacus, or no, like Mark Crassus, like, he had either just got her back, or maybe they were at the part where he was confessing what happened to his son, you know? So it was all at once. Like, he got Marcus, then got his clarity, and his was jaded, you know? So it was bound to have its rebound at some point. Like, that was the whole point of this. Like, you did this, and now this is what happened, you know? So because your intentions weren't pure and everything that you did to all those people, and then seeing Marcus get his clarity at that same time, I was like, he's gonna lose. I wanted him to die the whole time. Yeah, after the blabber, I was like, I just wanted him to die, you know? Like, and then, whatever. So he got his clarity, last battle happened, and then, you know, not only did he die, but, you know, someone else got some fucked up shit happened to them and died too. You know, people that wouldn't have, that he actually been moved, like, purely, you know? So, whatever, yeah, he died. He's about to kill Marcus, you know, they're fighting, he's good, and he's about to kill him, but then a couple of large spears get pierced through his body, and that's how he died. But it's no wonder, because you were lying the whole time to everybody, you know, you were not gonna win this last one. Whatever. So then, whatever, other bullshit happened, but that was basically it. I was happy that Marcus lived, because I'm not gonna lie, I kind of liked him too, you know? I just like maybe the idea of him, but then I also like the idea of him and him too. So I was happy that he was able to win that one, because he deserved it. He did. You know, he was actually a decent person. There's just fucked up ass people around him, but he got his stability, clarity, did that. And then it ended, but I was happy that he died. But yeah, it was a lot going on. Like, I just told you the basics and the outlines, but there's a lot of little dramas in between also. But this video is long, and so that would have taken twice as long. But that was Spartacus, and I loved it. 5 stars. I'm watching something else right now. It's also unrelated to things that I normally watch. It's a little bit like the one I just watched. I'm not thinking there'll be any love story in it. Oh yeah, but Spartacus, there's a lot of crazy scenes. But I was like, I think this is more for me. Like, if I'm gonna be honest with you, like, dang, that was fucked up. But whatever. Spartacus. Netflix. Good night.